Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Manila House, this is Bambina Olivares, the Director of Programming, welcoming you to today's webinar entitled Detours, a Conversation about Art. This is a very special webinar for us at Manila House because we get to feature 4 of our members who are all exceptional artists. Jay Yao, Tracy Anglo-Dizon, Carlo Calma, and Juanji Delgado, or Hui, whose recent artwork is currently part of an ongoing exhibition at Leon Gallery under the auspices of another friend of Manila House, Derek Flores of DF Art Agency. And Won-hee, coming all the way from South Korea, right? Just tell us, and I know you've had a baby recently, so artist and mother, the new mother at the same time. So tell us like a little bit of how you got into painting, into art.
I actually started painting since I was very young. My mom is also an artist. So I started to paint since I was like 5, and I remember going to her studio and then paint along with her. And it came really natural for me to pursue my art as a career. So I went to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, for my undergrad. And after I graduated, I went back to Seoul and graduated from Seoul National University. Yeah, so and I'm continuing painting. So
how has it been now with a young child now, an infant, really, and working at the same time? Or had you finished all the works for the exhibit before you had the baby?
Well, I actually for this opening, I had 5 total of pieces, and 4 pieces are already finished, and I was on a process finishing the last piece. So I was working on it, and I don't know. I think after I don't know, somehow after I have a baby, I feel like I also had an urge to feel like I want to keep going on the painting. So I tried to go to the studio like almost every day, and I had to make sure that make sure that I paint at least like certain hours per day.
Okay, and your studio is near your house or separate? Is it within your home?
My studio is away from, it's maybe like 20 minutes away from my house, so it's not so far away.
Okay. Well, money is really interesting. I think your images, you have animals, and then it's kind of a little visceral as well, and then there's a little bit of fantasy. So do you want to like talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the recurring theme of the interest is the juxtaposition and the analogy of food and bodies. And we visually like enjoy the classical beauty of body and food. And as you might know, the term, thank you for doing that, food porn, which refers to a glamorized the visual presentation of food. I'm interested in how both can be perceived in a similar way, but also like both play with opposing elements and aspects such as reality and illusion, desire and memory, a coexistence and beauty, the unsightly, and the simultaneously attractive and vulgar aspect of perception and emotion. And the biggest painting, which calls Earth Painting, like its title, it's about how we easily forget what we have. So basically, depending on the message that I would like to convey through each piece, I add and subtract the image that I collect and archive. And I try to add the sense of the tenderness, hardness, ambiguity, and texture and change brought on by passage of time, and the sense of sight and touch to sensuously react together in my work. I usually like get the inspiration for the work title from the song lyrics and the title.
Mhm.
And for example, like for earth painting, it was derived from Michael Jackson's Earth Song. And for Juju Eyeballs, it was from the lyrics of the Beatles Come Together. And it means sorceress's eyes.
Oh, okay. But and then the red, the red's very striking in your paintings. Right? There's that vibrant kind of splash of red.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I like the color red. Like you said, red is very strong color and it does connote like various meaning. It could be something to do with like blood, you know, and or something to do with like red roses.
Mhm.
So I think, you know, sometimes like I cannot exactly say why I use a certain color for, but then it just come naturally when you paint.
And there was one painting. I think. Sorry, guys, but uh, this is not very good. You
Yeah,
can't.
that's the art painting that I mentioned earlier.
And it's got, I remember I was speaking to your mother-in-law with Helen, and we were trying to figure out what this thing was, if it was it looked like a body organ, right? If it was a heart or a liver or
Yeah.
you know. So we couldn't quite tell. Yeah, can you reveal what it was?
Oh, it actually was a chunk of steak.
A chunk of steak. Okay.
It was a chunk of steak, but then I sort of wanted to leave it not fully finished because I just thought that like I like how you say, oh, it sort of looks like meat or it looks like organs. I like the how viewers
The
think,
ambiguity,
yeah, the ambiguity and you know has a different perception just looking at the same thing.
right? This is the one with the bears. And
Mhm.
there's meat, right? There's meat again there.
Meat and pink roses and polar bears, all different elements. So basically, like if I since I mentioned about like what you know my work in general, like the if I talk about the process of my work, I actually get a lot of images from shuffling through like art and design and fashion and the lifestyle and culinary, even like porn magazine and the books. So I tends to collect the ones that questions and connotes the extended meaning other than what would be on the surface. Um, so those are the like all the images that I use in the painting is one of those collected images that I got from all those magazines and books.
Is there any particular meaning for like the polar bears, or
Um,
and it
when
looks like
I
it's
was
eating
when
a
I was
eating something
actually like
there.
during that art painting, I was in the phase of thinking a lot about like global warming and like how humans are like you know being harmful to the nature. So it's about like nature versus human,
Mhm.
and yeah, the meaning is sort of something like that.
And in the meantime, maybe can I ask each of you to just summarize what your experience has been for the during the pandemic, and how your art has evolved at the same time. Wonhee?
I think because of the pandemic, I become more calm and was able to concentrate in doing my work. And I thought also being in the studio somehow was the safest place to be because you're naturally like away from the people. Um, but like the pandemic, it changed the way I do things in daily basis, but then it didn't really impact like topic of my work. But I think entering the motherhood sort of effect more on changing the like effect on my work more than the pandemic. um but with so like during the time that I have in the studio, like previously, like all the works that I did, um that for the Detour pieces were all from oil painting, but then these days I'm working on acrylic, and I'm actually getting really fond of it, fond of using it, because I realized you can use so many different textures. Like there's gel mediums and all different kinds of things they invented, newly invented. So this is like, I'm sort of studying those kind of different textures and things, and trying to see the possibility how I can utilize it in my future works. And in spite of the pandemics, I'm so glad that I had this opportunity to have this show with all these fellow artists. Yeah, so I feel like even if it's pandemic, since we all have a show, we actually made a progress.
Great. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is great. Obviously, you've had a good pandemic, creatively speaking, it seems like. So there's always a silver lining, as they say. Everyone, and goodbye. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Bye. Bye. I'm gonna